Commissioners, and welcome to the July 23rd, 2020 Cumberland County Commissioners Virtual Workshop Meeting. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's say, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I call this meeting to order at 9:04 a.m. and at this time open up the floor to public comments.
Stacy, our things here still show red.
Oh my.
Thank you.
Yes. I apologize. I open up the floor for public comment. Anybody join public comment? Hearing none and seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 3. And I'll call on Tammy Bender to discuss agenda item number 3, which is the budget resolution 2020-22. And I'll also ask that she discuss agenda item number 4, which is budget resolution 2025. Tammy?
Good morning, Commissioners. We have several budget resolutions before you for approval. The first one's a 2020 budget resolution. This is for the County Relief Block Grant. We're increasing revenues and expenses by $22,881,555. That's due to the receipt of the CARES Act money from the Corona Relief Fund. The next two budget resolutions are 2021 budget resolutions. The first one is for community services. They're increasing revenue and expenses by $165,000 due to CARES Act funding received for rental assistance. And the second one is also for community services. They're increasing revenue and expenses by $177,367.28. Part of that is CARES Act state food funding was received in the amount of $172,483.15, and the actual state allocation increased $4,884.13. Is there any questions?
Okay, thank you, Tammy. Next, I'll call on Chris Rafferty to discuss agenda items number 5 and 6, which are the Home Investment Partnership Grant and the Community Development Block Grant information, the agreements between the county and HUD. Chris?
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you. Back in the fall of 2019, the County Commissioners approved the program year 2020 annual action plan for both the home program and the CDBG program. That action plan was submitted to HUD, and due to the congressional budget process, they finally issued the grant agreements to the county on June 25th. Our normal program year for both programs actually starts on January 1st and runs through December 31st. So there's a significant delay for HUD issuing the grant agreements. So those two grant agreements in the amount of $526,359 for the home program and $1,236,650 for the CDBG program. Once those agreements are executed by the Commissioners, submitted to HUD, then we will ask the Commissioners to approve an agreement between the county and the Redevelopment Authority to administer both programs, and then we'll enter into agreements with all the municipalities and nonprofits that have been awarded funds under these programs. Are there any questions or comments?
Jean, I have a question. So on the agenda, it says that the amount of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Community Development Block Grant is $1,236,650, but the grant questionnaire says $1,236,699.
Okay,
The
what,
letter
that
from
must,
HUD to Tim Whalen
yes,
is 1236699.
okay, and that's, well, we'll have to check with HUD because on the grant agreement that they sent, oh, I see what okay, so what they did, and we'll have to make this correction, is they broke the allocation in 2 program years. If you look on the grant agreement for the block grant program, it says under 2020, they allocated $1,236,650 and then $49 in program year 2019 funds. So that's where the discrepancy comes in. So you're correct.
Thank you, Chris. I don't have it. Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Chris, this is Vince. I have a question on the terms of the grant.
Yes.
Not saying it's wrong, but the one goes through 9/1/27, the other 9/1/28. Is that accurate?
Yes, under the different programs, the home program, we're required, every tenement community is required to obligate their home funds within 2 years and expend them within 5. Under the CDBG program, there's a longer expiration date on the funds, and that's usually, it would be 2027.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Chris? Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
Next, I'll call on Commissioner Eichelberger to discuss the letter of support for the Susquehanna Area Regional Airport Authority. Commissioner Eichelberger.
Right, each of us received a copy of the proposed letter. Jim Helsel, who's our rep with Sarah, called and asked about getting this on the agenda promptly, but it's pretty self-explanatory. The Susquehanna Area Regional Airport Authority is looking for a federal grant from the Department of Commerce that would allow them to undertake an accessway expansion for logistics for cargo shipments that are coming in and out of HIA. Of course, we're all familiar with HIA, a major economic driver in the region. And as Jim points out in his letter, the recent rise in e-commerce, even prior to COVID, now accentuated by COVID, is driving a lot of demand for this type of facility. And this presents a nice opportunity for HIA as well, because passenger traffic obviously has fallen off a cliff, and they need that to generate revenue to sustain the operation. So the timing of this is pretty good. So they're asking for, this is a competitive grant, they're asking for support from all regional political leadership in regards to advocating for this. So the letter would be forthcoming from us directly to Department of Commerce. They're asking for our support on it. I'd like to have us vote on it Monday. If there's anybody has questions, we have until Monday to get them resolved. Raise comments or questions now, of course.
I'm good.
Me too. I'm good with it.
All right, thank you. Agenda item number 8 is contracts and grants, with agenda item 8(1) through D consisting of existing contracts, contract extensions, or addenda with no additional cost or increase to the county. Commissioners, do you have any questions about any of those?
But the summary sheet is so nicely done.
Thank you, Teresa.
It really is.
Hearing none, and hearing no questions, we'll move on to agenda item 8(2), which consists of new contracts, vendors, services, grants, and contracts with increases or decreases to the county. And I'll start with Jamie Ryber to discuss 3 agreements for children and youth. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. The first contract is for Diacon. This is their 2021 contract. All of their services are remaining the same with the exception of one program, which is their weekend alternative program. And they are increasing that 3%, which comes out to $5.20 per day. The next contract is Central PA Family Support Services. They are requesting an increase of 1.59% or $1.25. They have had minimal increases over the last 10 years that we've used them, so we felt that this was warranted. The last one is for Cornell Braxis, and it's the addition of the HASA program, which is the Harrisburg Area Student Academy. The educational costs for this program are paid by the child's home school district. The cost to us would be $66.12 per day, which covers counseling, community services, and case management for the child. Do you have any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Melissa Smith joining us from CNRC to discuss the agreement with Homeland Hospice. Melissa?
Good morning. We've had a contract with Homeland Hospice since January 2012. This is simply updating the contract and the wording in the contract. And they have also separated respite care from hospice care. We had gotten the respite care approved last month, and now this is the hospice care. There's really no significant change at all in the contract, and it's a revenue contract, not an expense contract.
Any questions for Melissa? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll call on Darby Chrisley to discuss the PCCD grant application for criminal justice services. Darby?
Morning, Commissioners. We're seeking approval to apply for grant funding from the Pennsylvania Commission of Crime and Delinquency in the amount of $315,000 for intermediate punishment programs. And just a little bit of background on intermediate punishment. It is an alternative sentencing program that was established here in the county in 2006. The program essentially allows criminal offenders, primarily mandatory sentence DUI offenders, to serve all or a portion of their jail term in the community on electronic monitoring. The program allows offenders to be productive in the community while under those EM restrictions. In fact, in 2019, we had 172 offenders participate in the program, resulting in 14,834 bed days saved at the jail. So the grant would cover 1 year from July 1st, 2020 to June 30th of 2021. It covers partial salary benefits of 2 POs and 2 restorative sanction employees, also drug testing supplies, and expense related to offender treatment. It was reduced somewhat this year. In previous years, we had a 3rd employee who was, or probation officer, that was reimbursed. I believe last year it was a 25% reimbursement. That has been reduced to 0 in a 3rd employee.
Is that shifting over to the general fund then?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Any questions for Darby? Any additional questions? Thank you, Darby.
Thank you.
Next, I'll call on Eric Radovich to discuss the continuation of an agreement as well as a grant award for the district attorney's office.
Sure. Good morning, Commissioners. The 2 items I have for you this morning are a service contract for some laboratory instrumentation with Thermo Electron Corporation in the amount of $27,467.10. That covers 3 lab instruments. And the grant application before you is accepting a grant that we applied for previously from the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency. It's in the amount of $72,067, and it would cover upgrades to grant instrumentation, some new software, and some small appliances for the lab. That is a no-match grant.
Eric, is the contract still to Thermo Electron?
I think Thermo Fisher or Thermo Electron. I don't.
Fisher
They may be
Scientific
calling it
was
Thermo
there.
Fisher now.
Yeah, they merged into
It,
Fisher Scientific years ago. So.
yeah.
Okay.
And then the contracts come in different names every year, so I apologize if I have it wrong.
I just, well, from a legal standpoint, we should be using the proper name of the company. So.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Sure, thank you. Sorry about that.
For Eric? Thank you, Eric.
Okay, thank you.
Next, I'll call on Ryan Simon to discuss 2 contracts for drug and alcohol. Ryan?
Good morning, Commissioners. The first one is for Daystar. Daystar provides inpatient services. In particular, they provide a halfway house for men. They're asking for a 4% increase. That's a $5 per day increase for their halfway house. Their rate packet has been reviewed by their home FCA, their home county, and the home county has approved that increase. Second contract is for Pyramid Healthcare, and they have several different locations that they're asking for increases. The first is for Duncansville, their detox adolescent service. They're asking for 1% increase. That's $3 per day. Their rehab service, they're asking for a 3% increase. That's $7 per day. And their co-occurring service, they're asking for a 6% increase. That's $15 per day. The next location is their Bellevue location. There they provide rehab services, and they're asking for a 3% increase there. And finally, their Hillsdale, or their Hillside location, they're asking for a 4% increase on their detox. That's $13 per day, and they're asking for 5% on their short-term rehab and co-occurring, long-term rehab and co-occurring, and those are all $13 per day. Any questions?
Okay, thank you very much, Ryan. No questions here. Next, I'm going to call on Holly Sherman to discuss the addendum with Castle Branch for HR. Holly?
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a 1-year contract extension for Castle Branch. This is the company we use to do all of our pre-employment background checks and drug screenings for. And then we are also adding credit checks for certain fiscal type positions to do credit checks on a case-by-case basis.
Any questions for Holly? Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
Amy Straight is joining us to discuss contracts and grants for mental health as well as for early intervention for fiscal year 2020-2021. Annie?
Good morning, Commissioners. The first contract is with Stacy Foreman, and she provides speech therapy services for early intervention families. This contract represents a $3,573 decrease from last year. The total of the contract is $21,327,000. And again, that's for speech therapy services for children birth to 3. If you don't have any questions, I'll just go ahead and proceed to the next.
Please.
Okay, the next contract is actually for both MH, EI, and IDD. We use Susquehanna software to track our units delivered for early intervention, IDD, and now for the mental health office as well. And so the contract total was $22,400, and it represents a decrease of $63,300 from last year. And that's because last year we actually purchased the software for the mental health office's use. This year's contract is specifically around technical support as well as reporting the data. And if we have any specific requests for data that we would like them to gather for us, they can manipulate the data to create reports for us. So that's what that contract represents. And if you have no questions about that, I have one more. The last one is actually a repeat. The Commissioner's Office had approved a grant for our early intervention staff to provide training with the Foundation for Enhancing Communities, and it's around becoming trauma informed. So our staff is working with a team of other stakeholders
in the community and providing training to early intervention providers as well as other stakeholders. But this grant was initially approved back in April of 2020, and then with COVID-19, it could not be presented. So the Foundation for Enhancing Communities has requested that they resubmit the grant proposal. So that's what this is just a reapproval. The amount of funds is the same, $2,500, because of the new fiscal year.
Any questions?
Do you have
for
any
Annie?
questions?
Thank you, Annie.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Brian Hamilton is actually here representing public safety, filling in for Claudia, and he's going to discuss the Hexagon Safety and Infrastructure Agreement. Brian?
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners and all. Public Safety is asking for your approval of the Hexagon change order number 3. This is the vendor who's designing and implementing the new computer-aided dispatch, known as CAD to us, for the communications center. As the team works through each of the elements, they've been careful to evaluate needs and leverage technology to have the most efficient and user-friendly end product that we can. Change order number 3 includes 3 additional key elements of the project that we need. The first is a software tool called XAlt, formerly known as Edge Frontier. And this will be for our tech staff to customize, the interfaces that we use throughout the day. And as we move forward, our plans are to actually build our own interfaces compared to what we have paid the CAD company to do. So we'll be able to save that maintenance cost because we'll be maintaining it ourselves moving forward. And that also includes training for that software to be used. Second is an analytics package. We do many things with this, and it will include the automation of manual reporting that consumes a fair amount of our staff time right now, where the field agencies can run some of their own reports. The system will allow us to pre-program automated reports, and they will go out to the various email addresses, etc., on the first of the month. And also it will provide us with some better statistical measures in the milestone markers for P4P, among other features. The last item is the interface and licensing that we need for ProQA, which is the software that provides us the electronic version of the medical and soon coming fire and police dispatch protocols that have recently become mandated by the state. So we had to make a change there due to that mandate. Also included in the change order are some credits. With COVID-19, we were unable to have on-site training, so we were able to not delay the project and accomplish that via virtual training. But that also did provide us with a credit, for those travel costs and so on. All these items on this change order equal $111,121.08, which will be applied towards the $174,000 credit that we received from the previous change order number 2. So it's basically a no cost to the county. It's we're taking advantage of those credits within the project itself. Any questions?
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Last, I'll call on Justin Miller to discuss the 2 grants for recycling and waste. Justin?
Morning, Commissioners. First bullet item is for our June Household Hazardous Waste event. I actually have 2 documents that I'm requesting your signature on. One is called the Record of Operations Report, and that just tells DEP the types of materials that we collected and their weights. We collected a total of 27,016 pounds, and over 20,000 of that was paint alone. In terms of cost, the event cost $22,552.94. We're asking for 50% reimbursement from DEP $11,276.47. We also collected $7,932.45 in fees from residents. And then with our sponsorship from Advanced Disposal, we will cover the costs of the event, which was our goal. Any questions on those two documents for the first quarter?
Just one question. So the public reaction regarding fees is still pretty even? Pretty
Yes.
normal? Okay.
Actually, for it's interesting, for this event and this type of material, people seem to take that even better than for the electronics.
Yeah.
Very, very little negative feedback on the fees for this event.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, the second bullet, this is the annual Act 101 904 performance grant. This is predominantly awards municipalities for their recycling efforts for the previous year. We help municipalities gather data that they use to submit to show tonnages. Sometimes, however, the tonnages only come back at the county level. We then submit that for Cumberland County, and I'm estimating and this is strictly a rewards grant. The amount would be $21,203.68.
I have a question on that one too. As we're all aware, some of the haulers have severely restricted the materials that they take in recent months in the last year or so. Has that had any material impact on the totals that are being recorded?
Our total tonnage for the county, so I sum up all recycling efforts in the county, it was down about 10,000 tons, which kind of made sense to me. The numbers, they didn't go up, which was good to me. They went down because of what you just said is happening. And that I'm sure that's going to affect some of the municipal awards slightly, but when you spread that 10,000 out over the whole, county, I don't think it's going to be a drastic hit for them.
Okay. All right, thank you. Good background.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Okay, that's all of the contracts and grants, so we'll move on to agenda item number 9, and I'll call on Robin Weigel to discuss the request to advertise for tax bill printing. Robin?
Good morning, Commissioners. We are ready to start our tax bill printing process for 2021, and we're asking you to authorize the advertising for bids.
Any questions for Robin? Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Next, I'll call on Mark Adams to discuss the capital project for IMTO. Mark?
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a change order to a capital project for Zoom license. Initially, I requested 150 licenses. We received a couple of large requests from departments, one of them being requesting 36 licenses, which was extreme as far as my initial plans were. So I'm looking to purchase an additional 50 licenses of Zoom. That cost for 5 years is $33,000. We would only be purchasing 2 years up front, which is about $13,200, and then the other third, fourth, and fifth year would be $6,600 per year, starting in the third year.
Any questions for Mark? Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 11 is Commissioner's Liaison reports, and I'll start by calling on Commissioner Engelberger.
Yeah, actually, I don't have much to report. We heard from Justin in regards to the contracts. We heard from Andy in regards to the NH contracts. We had the Human Services Policy team the other day, so we got updates on the NH ICD and functions, and we were briefed this week on the cadence effort in regards to the COVID emergency relief efforts. Just a reminder, we're 1 week out from the deadline on the renewed Cumberland grants, and there's, as was reported, continues to be a steady flow in of applications, but we want to still push the message out if anybody wants to send emails or anything out, just reminding people it's a good opportunity to do that. They still have a week to get things in. And Kate has pretty much been all COVID all the time. Policy and Planning Committee, however, did meet earlier this week to go over more of the strategic blueprint document, and still some wordsmithing going on before that the outline comes to us. They're well into the phase of doing the development on the work plans for the strategic initiatives that were chosen, and we'll be hearing more of that in a couple of weeks. That's everything.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Eichelberger. Commissioner Bocci.
Let's see, haven't had a HATS meeting since last month, but I did have a very productive meeting with Lemoyne and Wormleysburg, and then we went to a larger meeting with PennDOT and talked about the bottleneck project that's going on there. I think some really positive things came out of that. Certainly everyone knows that that area of Lemoyne needs some help. That is a really congested, tight area, so I'm interested to see how things work out with that project. Our libraries are open. I was at Frederickson last week, and I will tell you, it was such a pleasant experience. You have to wear a mask to go in. If you don't have one, you buy one. When you get there, they're $1. Everyone was socially distanced. There were people using the library. There were people using the, the computers and the employment area. So I think that that's a good sign. It's Cumberland County having such a fabulous library system is just such a good thing for us, such a good thing for our community. I went to the Drug and Alcohol Commission meeting last week, and I think this is just one of the most impressive things I've ever heard, because I know that changing legislation and moving legislation is so hard. But we have a Vivitrol program at the Cumberland County Prison, and up until recently, there were many offenders who were not eligible for it because of the nature of their offense. And Jack Carroll and his group got together and lobbied, and they got a piece of legislation changed so that there are far more people in the Cumberland County Prison who are now eligible for that very beneficial program. So I just think that's so impressive. I know how hard it is to move the needle on anything, and that was an epic score. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Bocci. Commissioner DiFilippo.
I have a few items here. Cumberland County Housing Redevelopment Authority met on July 16th. Some bittersweet news. Director Tim Whalen will be resigning later this year. Search will begin for his replacement very soon, and I've been asked to be on that search committee. The new Factory Square location there is now in full occupancy. The CCHRA received notice of a 2020 Emergency Solutions Grant Award of $128,650. CCHRA is administering the CARES Rent Relief Program for Cumberland County. The app submission started July 6th and will run through September 30th. So far, many of the apps received have not been completed correctly, so the authority has developed an internal application review team to handle the program. CCHRA also received additional funds to support public housing operations, $121,000, and the Housing Choice Voucher Program, an additional $184,000. This was provided through the CARES Act. Those funds will be used to acquire new technology to update cyberspace as a community resource, with emphasis on supporting students and their families. Additional PPE will also be acquired. Funding will also be used as incentives for landlords to accept housing choice vouchers. The Aging Advisory Board met on July 17th. They discussed and approve the 2020-2024 Strategic Action Plan, which I did forward to my colleagues a few days ago. That plan will be coming to us, I'm assuming, at the next workshop for discussion. And CapCog met on July 20th. This is the first time we've met since COVID started. Senator Mike Regan provided a legislative update. The annual golf event is scheduled for September 21st at Armitage. There will also be a dinner there for those who don't want to golf. Also, I was questioned about the county's prison central booking procedures. I was able to answer that question, but we also, I know, received a letter yesterday from Thomas Martini, who I believe is with Wormleysburg Borough, with a similar question. Stacy, we've asked that you forward that to the prison board, please. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner
Thank you.
Lebo. I would like to report that executive sessions were held on July 13th at 3 p.m., July 22nd, 2020 at 9:30 a.m., both regarding personnel, and July 20th at 9:15 a.m. and July 22nd at 10:30 a.m. regarding potential litigation. Is there any other business that needs to come before the board today?
Stacy, no, but I do have a comment I forgot at the CapCog meeting. Sue Stewart from Lemoyne, she's Lemoyne or Wormleysburg, made a statement appreciating the board's support of the Lemoyne bottleneck project, and particularly noted appreciation to Commissioner Foschi for her attendance and input at that meeting. Just wanted to make note of that.
Well, that's very nice. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, if there is no other business to come before the board today,